All right, so I'm going to be reading this article from the Associated Press talking about the impending, the looming, the coming government shutdown. And it says Trump, and this is from the AP, it says Trump cancels White House meeting with Schumer and Jeffries despite risk of a government shutdown. And from the AP, it says President Donald Trump has abruptly canceled this week's planned meeting with congressional Democratic leaders, refusing to negotiate over their demands to shore up health care funds as part of a deal to prevent a potential government shutdown. In a lengthy social media post, Trump has rejected the idea to sit down with the Democratic leaders that they had agreed to the day before. It would have been the first time that the president had met with the Democratic leaders, Schumer and Jeffries, since returning to the White House. The president complained the Democrats are threatening to shut down the government of the United States unless the Republicans agree to more funding for health care. For various groups, he has criticized. If they want him to pass something, they should just say, hey, Trump, this is for Israel or whatever. But the stalemate over a funding deal or even talks between the White House and Congress to strike a compromise has quickly intensified the risk of federal closure starting as soon as next week, ahead of the October 1st deadline for the start of the government's fiscal year. The Democrats have accused the Republican president of throwing a tantrum and running away from the situation. Trump always chickens out, Jeffries posted on X. In a post directed at Trump, Schumer said the Democrats will sit down and discuss health care when you're finished ranting. Let's see. I guess this criticism from Jeffries, I guess it makes sense. Trump is a lot of talk. He's a boisterous guy. He's braggadocious, to use my vocab word of the day. He does chicken out a lot. There's a lot of things he's promised that he doesn't quite grant. But in this case, in terms of government shutdown, I feel that the Democrats are more likely to give. And here's the reason why. Trump, I believe, has had 3 government shutdowns. And there's one that was like only a few hours. There's one that was 2 or 3 days. And there's one, I believe, is 35 days. A 35-day government shutdown. And Trump, Trump wasn't scared. He wasn't backing down. He was willing to stay without a government. I feel like people Trump has only been in power for 5 years, roughly, give or take a little bit more. Give or take 5 years. And he's had 3 of these government shutdowns. And I feel like to people, especially like Schumer, who's a lifelong politician, let's be honest, he's been in the fox den that is Washington, D.C. for a while. And Jeffries, who has been there for at least 10, 12 years. I feel like these people, these lifelong politicians, are going to be more uncomfortable with the idea of a government shutdown. And I do think they're going to back down. If these people, their only goal in life is to do certain things and to, I guess, work. You got to think about it. This is their day job. Trump kind of became president after retirement. This is the weirdest retirement gig that anybody's ever had, but Trump is viewing this presidency a lot differently than politicians typically tend to view it. So that's my thoughts. I feel like the Democrats are more likely to back down. I could be wrong. The Democrats I believe they've said a few days ago that the circumstances of this shutdown are a bit different. But yeah, let's continue from where we left off. It says Schumer said Trump is running away from the negotiating table before he even gets there and would rather throw a tantrum than do his job. Yeah, honestly, Trump, you gotta stop. He's not gonna listen to me, let's be honest. But Trump's gotta stop throwing tantrums. Come on, man. He used to be funny. A lot of the things he used to say, only Rosie O'Donnell. He used to be a funny guy. What happened to 2025 Trump is just kind of lame, I'm going to be honest. It's not funny. It doesn't hit back with what he used to. But, continuing, it says, Trump has been unafraid of shutting down the government. Oh, yeah, that's kind of what I was saying. During his first term, he was president over the nation's longest federal closure during the 2018-2019 holiday season. Oh, yeah, that pushed past the year mark, yeah. When he was pushing Congress to provide funds for his long-promised U.S. border wall, the president insisted that over the weekend, the essential services, including those for veterans, would remain open. I don't know how good the services would be, but I only hear bad things. Thursday's scheduled meeting would have potentially set up a showdown at the White House, reminiscent of the funding fight between Trump, Schumer, and Nancy Pelosi. Schumer and Jeffries had demanded a meeting with Trump to work out a compromise over healthcare funds earlier Tuesday, and had welcomed plans for this week's meeting. But the Republican president has been reluctant to enter talks and instructed the GOP leaders on Capitol Hill to not negotiate with the Democrats. House Speaker Mike Johnson's office said that the Democrats are holding government funding hostage to their demands for a vast amount of healthcare funding. Republicans have shut down the majority of the House and Senate and have been trying to avoid Republicans who have a majority in both the House and the Senate have been trying to avoid a shutdown. Johnson led the passage late last week of a temporary funding measure which would have kept the government offices running into November while talks get underway. The typical thing was to buy time during funding fights, but the measure failed in the Senate. Democrats refused to support the stopgap bill because it did not include the priorities of health care funds. A Democratic proposal with the health care money restored was defeated by the Senate Republicans. The Democratic proposal would extend enhanced health care insurance subsidies set out to expire by the end of the year. Medicaid cuts that were included in the Republicans' big tax and spending cuts enacted earlier this year. Republicans have said the Democrats' demand to reverse the Medicaid changes and are a non-starter, but they have said that there is time to address health insurance subsidy issue in the months ahead. And let's see, Congress was sent home. Honestly, good news for all of us, bad news for their hometowns. Congress was sent home amid the logjam, and the House called off next week's session. Nice. But Jeffries, in a letter sent to colleagues, summoned House Democrats back to work on Monday the following evening. Imagine being that guy. Hey guys, Jeffries was the guy in school. Like, hey guys, hey Miss. He was the guy who told the substitute teacher that we all had homework. Miss Crabapple, you forgot to accept our homework. We forgot to turn in our homework. Shut up, Jeffries, you nerd. But he called them back for the Monday evening session when senators are also expected to resume their session days before the funding deadline. Yeah, so I do think that Trump is not afraid of fighting back, of not giving in to, I guess, this government shutdown. Trump, he's shown that he's Taco Trump, let's be honest. But when it comes to government shutdowns, he's not scared of it. What was that? I don't know if any of you have seen the movie Gattaca. That was a weird movie. I saw it in the 8th grade. But there is I'm pretty sure there's like these two brothers, and one was like a clone or something, and the other was like naturally born. And they had this game of chicken, and the goal was to swim as far as possible and then make it back. And like if you stopped swimming, you chickened out. Trump, for all his talk, I don't think he's going to be chickening out on this one. We'll see. But it's going to be fun to watch. Well, at least if you're international, if you're an international guy, if you're not from the United States of America, it's going to be fun to watch. But honestly, I'm going to kind of enjoy watching it also. But we'll see what happens. I don't think Trump is going to back down. And I do think that Schumer and Jeffries I do think they're going to actually, actually, let's scrap that. I do think they're going to open up negotiating a little bit, and I think that the House Republicans are probably going to give them the tiniest concession, and the government's going to continue as normal. But it wouldn't surprise me if the shutdown was for a few days, but I don't think it's going to be like a month, such as last time. So that's my thoughts.